Transform Dollar Tree finds into stunning ornaments in minutes. Stick with me for 7 creative, low-cost ideas that anyone can make. Perfect for that cozy night in. All right, we're going to be creating some paint swirl ornaments. So to do that, we're just going to open up the cap of our ornament, and then I'm just going to pour this paint. I like to have some of it run down the sides, and I like to use about 3 colors in total, not too many, otherwise we kind of risk creating a muddy look. And then I'm going to switch over to my gold color. I'll just kind of squirt it inside, but we'll see what happens with that. And then we're going to add a little bit of red to give it a nice festive look. Again, we don't want to add too much, just enough for that paint to start moving around. So now that we have our paint and our ornament, we're just going to now have some fun. This is the fun part of this technique. We're just going to swirl that paint around so it coats the inside of the ornament. And then when you feel like your paint is not really flowing anymore and you still have areas of your ornament you want covered, then you can go ahead and add a little bit more paint and continue swirling. So I'm just going to continue doing this until I'm happy with all the paint that's been coated on the inside. There's still paint inside of it, and that's going to take ages for it to dry if we don't drain it. So what I like to do is I like to take a disposable cup and then I flip it upside down, and then I'm going to let it drain. There we go. There it goes. I'm going to let it drain there for about an hour or until it stops. So I've let the paint drain overnight and then I put the cap back on. But you want to make sure that the inside is dry to the touch, because if you put the cap back on, it's not going to dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the cap and let it air dry until the paint inside is fully dried to the touch. And then my ornament is ready to hang on my tree. I found this wooden round ornament at the Dollar Tree, and it had the snowflake embellishment on it. It was a little bit offset, and I thought maybe I could take this off and paint below. I'm just going to try to take it off and to see if it gives us a nice canvas below. And if it doesn't, I have a plan B. All right, so I tried to take up as much of that glue as I could, but I still had a little bit stuck in the middle. So my plan B is I'm just gonna flip it over, and on the back side of it, it's completely blank. And so I'm gonna paint on this side instead. And we're gonna have a nice red background. So I'm just got some red craft paint. Any craft paint or acrylic paint will work here. And we're just gonna paint a nice red circle right in the middle. And we're gonna leave a little bit of a border. I just like seeing some of the wood round still show through and not painting right to the edge. All right, so the red paint is dry to the touch. So the first step to make your snowflake is we're just going to make a round circle right in the middle, just like that. And then we're going to make our snowflake lines. So we're gonna make one going up first and then one going down. An interesting fact, snowflakes have 6 sides. I didn't know this until one of my last paintings. And so this one, I made that painting with 8 sides. So this one I'm gonna try to make 6 sides, make it a little bit more realistic. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to make arrow shapes. Make one more like that. And then we're gonna decorate it a little bit. So we're gonna add circles. Since we have a circle in the middle, let's repeat that pattern. And we're going to put circles right at the end of each of those 6 lines, like that. And then I'm gonna add a small circle at the beginning of the line too, just to give it a little bit more decoration. Why not, right? Snowflakes are always so much fun to draw. And then we're gonna finish this snowflake off by just adding random dots between the lines. So it can be like smaller snowflakes in the distance that are falling, and it's ready to hang. So the first step is we're gonna take a simple white sock and we're just gonna stuff it with a bunch of cotton. And then I'm gonna take a rubber band and I'm going to tie the top, just like that. And it doesn't matter what color it is because we're gonna cover it anyways in the later step. And then I'm gonna make another ball halfway down that snowman. So I'm gonna take that rubber band and I'm gonna double it up. So that's our basic shape for our snowman. So to make the hat of our snowman, we're just gonna take a toilet paper roll. So I'm just gonna cut the toilet paper roll in half, like that. And then we're gonna make slits. So I'm going to make some slits like that, about an inch tall. And then we're gonna start folding inwards. And then we're just gonna glue it down. So I'm gonna take a hot glue gun here and start, oopsies, gluing it down. One tab at a time. Okay. Now that we've done the top of the hat, I'm just gonna make some cuts along the bottom to make the rim of our hat. These ones are not gonna be as deep as these ones. And then we're just gonna fold them out. Now, if you have other ideas of how to make this rim, I would love to hear that in the comments below. And you can always make them a little bit bigger if you'd like as well. So basically that's the basic shape of our hat. And I'm just going to paint this toilet paper roll with some simple craft or acrylic paint. And a simple paintbrush, and we're just gonna paint that toilet paper roll hat with some black paint. Now you can get creative here too. If you'd rather a different color hat, a pink hat maybe, a red hat, go for it. There's no rule that a snowman's hat has to be black. All right, so I'm done painting my hat, and I just want to show you that I painted on the inside rim as well, but not inside because it's going to be covered by the snowman. So I've let that dry to the touch. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pick up our snowman that we created with our sock, and we're just going to cut the top part off so that the hat fits nicely on top. So I'm going to take my glue gun, a nice thick layer so it doesn't dry too fast. Time to place it on my snowman. Go. And then I'm gonna plop it down like that. And there we go. So the top hat is on. And now we're gonna add the fun details on our snowman ornament. So to start things off, I think I'm going to add my nose, the quintessential carrot snowman nose. So I've just cut basically a triangular shape with a piece of orange felt, and I'm just gonna glue that down in place. So I think I want it right over there. And I have enough room for my eyes and my smile. So for the eyes and smile, I'm just gonna take a simple Sharpie to keep it super simple. And most people have this laying around home or in the classroom. So to do the eyes, I'm just gonna create 2 dots on either side, like that. And then for the smile, you're just gonna do the same thing. You're just gonna take your Sharpie and you're just going to dot a nice button smile. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add arms on our snowman. This is super simple and easy to make because most of these items you already have at home, and the rest, like the sock and the cotton balls, you can grab from Dollar Tree or your local dollar store. I love these kind of crafts because it's super cheap, easy, and you don't have a lot of waste left over too, because sometimes when you have to buy a big pack of something, you have a lot of waste. And this is one of those crafts where you won't have a lot of that. And now we're gonna cover up that rubber band with a nice scarf. So I've just cut some nice Christmas ribbon I had laying around, and I'm just going to make a scarf out of that. So I'm going to just put it into place first just to see the positioning of it, and then I'm gonna glue it down. Take my glue gun, add a stripe of glue there. Wrap the scarf around. Just gonna hold it into place. Our scarf is done. And one of the final details is it's gonna stick it onto the tree, which is a string. So I just have some twine here. I think I'm gonna add it on top of the hat. That way it sits really nicely when you're hanging it on a tree. I'm gonna take my twine. I'm gonna take another go at it. I'm gonna put another layer of glue right over top to really just seal that in. And that should come off now. And that's how you make this cozy little snowman ornament. Now to make these disco ball ornaments, I picked up a 2-pack of blank ornaments from Dollar Tree. Then I went down the craft aisle and I found these fabulous, super bling and festive gold mirror tiles, which are also self-adhesive. So I thought to myself, this is gonna be easy. Now the first step is to peel the tiles off the backing and then just sticking them down like a sticker on the ornament. Now I chose to apply them in a top to bottom pattern in groups to see if that would work out faster, because each of those tiles is so small, so I thought a grouping would be faster. Now let's see if that was a good plan or not. So it turned out that my top to bottom grouping technique was a huge fail, and I had to actually take them all off and start from scratch again. And I decided to try applying the tiles one by one this time. And yes, it was really tedious and it took a while, but it worked. All right, so I'm finally done putting all the glass tiles on my ornament. So I just wanted to share some lessons learned with this ornament. One is that I learned that putting the tiles in from top to bottom was not a good idea, and it worked out better when I was doing them horizontally across, going up from the top all the way down to the bottom of the globe. The other thing is that the nature of the tiles, you're going to get these little cracks that show the ornament below. So one thing I would have done differently is actually painted it with a coat of gold paint before applying the tiles. That way it's not so apparent, the little white cracks, but it's really not that visible, and especially when it's hanging on a tree, you won't even notice it. But those are just a couple of lessons learned I wanted to share with you guys. I just want to also add that I painted the top part of the ornament, the little cap on the ornament. It was silver and I wanted to match the gold, so I just went in with acrylic paint and painted that, and then I just added in a string, so now it's ready to hang. I found this in the craft aisle in Dollar Tree, and I'm just gonna basically paint the whole star with this baby blue color. And wood is really nice to paint on because you don't need to prime it or anything. It's pretty much ready to go with the paint. So I'm just gonna fill in the whole star on both sides and on the sides as well. And then we're gonna let it dry and then move on to the next step. All right, so I've painted both sides of my star with that baby blue or light blue paint. And now we're ready to paint our snowman looking up. And this is a super, super easy snowman. Even kids can do this one. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna grab some white paint, and I'm going to paint in the bottom snowball, and also any normal acrylic or craft paint would work here. And then we're gonna paint our top snowball, which is gonna be the head of our snowman. Just like that, right in the center. All right, now that our snowman is dry to the touch, we're gonna add the nose, smile, and the eyes. So I'm gonna grab my orange paint and a thin paintbrush, and I'm just gonna create that orange carrot nose. So since this snowman is looking up, the carrot is going to be pointing upwards. A nice rounded bottom. Now to make the eyes of our snowman, we're just gonna flip over our paintbrush, and we're gonna use a really cool dotting technique that makes it really easy to make these snowman eyes. So we're just gonna dip the back of our paintbrush in some black paint, and then we're just gonna dot on 2 black eyes like that. And it makes it so much easier. Simple, easy peasy. Now we're gonna do the same thing for the smile. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Make them a little bit bigger. There we go. All right, so now we're done with our snowman's face, and we're going to just move on to the hands of our snowman now. So we're gonna flip over that brush and use our thin painting brush, and we're just gonna paint on some simple arms with our black paint. So we're just gonna start there. It's just gonna be a line, and it doesn't have to be completely straight. That's our snowman looking upwards. And for the final detail of the snowman ornament painting, we're gonna add in big globs of snowflakes. So we're gonna use the same method we used for the dotting tool for the eyes and the smile, and we're gonna use different size paintbrushes and the back. So we're just gonna dip in the handles and different size paintbrushes and add in these big snowflakes. It's snowing right outside today, so I got inspired to add these really nice chunky snowflakes. And then I'm gonna switch over to a smaller brush with a smaller handle, and I'm just gonna dot in smaller. And then I'm gonna switch over to my smallest one, which is this one here, and I'm gonna put really, really small, tiny snowflakes. give us a nice variety. I've gone ahead and added in the string at the top, and now he's ready to hang. Now I picked this up from Dollar Tree, and it's actually like a place card you can add at parties or weddings. So the first step is we're going to antiquify this frame. It's already gold, which is really nice, but for antique frames, they have a lot of embellishments and details in them, and they're not so flat. So I thought the way to add them, we can try using a hot glue gun. I've never tried this technique before, so let's just do this together and see what we get. So my glue gun is good to go, and I'm just going to start with the inner part of the frame, and I'm gonna add small dots to start things off. And the goal is not to be perfect here, but just to get a little bit more detail designs going on our frame. And this glue gun technique is actually used in the art world. It's called glue gun painting. All right, so I'm gonna show you what it looks like so far. Now I'm going to focus on the outside of the frame, and I'm gonna do a little bit of a different design for the outside. My really good friend did really amazing henna when we were in high school, and I used to watch her, and it was just amazing all the designs she came up with. And I remember this one was one of hers. I'm channeling my inner henna artist. You can do any design you want. You can look on the internet, on Google, for some nice inspiration for antique designs, or you can just go a little bit rogue and let your own creativity take the lead. And again, we're not going after perfection here. We are just adding a little bit more detail to our frame. And I'm thinking I want to add more of these dots. I had it on the inside. I want to add them to that outer edge of the frame. And I think that's going to be it for the designs with the glue gun. And then we're going to use our paint to really kind of bring the antique vibe in. So now we're going to use some paint to mellow down that gold color to make it look more oxidized and old and aged. So to do that, we're first going to take some black paint, and we're just going to lightly brush over top the entire surface. So our goal here is not to cover it with black, but it's just to add a little bit more depth to make it kind of look like it was made about 200-300 years ago, and time kind of did its thing on the gold. And then you're gonna notice it actually catches a lot around the corners of the glue, which is gonna look really neat. All right, so we're gonna let that dry, and then we're gonna come back in the next step to add our gold over top. All right, now that the black has had a chance to dry, we're gonna add some gold paint right over top, and you're gonna see it come to life. So I'm just gonna take my paintbrush, and I'm gonna do the same thing as we did with the black, and we're just gonna brush right over top of it. And you can pick and choose here to cover some of the black, all the black, or leave some black still showing through. It depends on how oxidized and aged you want this frame to be. So you get to pick and choose here where you keep that black accent. And also, if you find you've covered up a little bit too much of the black, you can actually just take a paper towel or tissue paper, and you can lift some of that gold paint before it has a chance to dry. All right, now it's time for some fun, and we're gonna assemble our frame ornament. So for my frame ornament, I went ahead and painted a mini Christmas tree on a piece of canvas paper. Now, if you're interested in how I painted this, I'm gonna link it in the card above. But some other ideas, if you're interested, is if you have some old Christmas cards, some old vintage Christmas cards, you can cut those out and put it in the frame. Or if you have a special picture, you can print that out on your printer, and you can also add that to the frame. So there's lots of ideas you can do for this frame ornament. So to assemble it, I'm just gonna add it to the backing of the frame that came with it. And I have some tape added at the back, so it's gonna stick nicely. And then I'm just going to plop it into the frame. So now in order for this to be hung on a tree, we need to add a string. So I just have some twine string here, so I'm just gonna add it with a glue gun. And then just to give it some extra security, I like to go over it with a second coat of that glue gun right over top of the string to really secure it into place. And once it's nice and cool, we're gonna flip it over, and our frame ornament is ready to be hung. All right, the next ornament we're going to make out of clothespins. So to start things off, I am going to be using paint markers here. Now, if you don't have paint markers, just use paint and a really thin detailing brush. I'm gonna start out with my black marker, And then I'm going to paint in the legs first. So anything below the clip is going to be the legs. So I'm just gonna paint that with black, easy peasy. So we're just gonna paint it all black, and then we're gonna come back in a later step and add a little bit details to our pants. So now we're going to grab the red marker, and this is gonna be the coat, the jacket or coat of our Nutcrackers. I have a very special Nutcracker decoration that my mom gave me years ago, and it's a really special piece. One of the arms even broke off, but I still put it up every single year. All right, now we're gonna grab a skin color paint, and then we're gonna paint in the face portion, which is gonna be smaller than the jacket portion. So it's gonna be about half the size of that jacket. And then we're gonna do the hat now. I'll grab the black paint marker again, but here we're going to make little side divots so it looks like a little bit like a hat, and then we're just gonna fill it in with the black marker. All right, so the base of our Nutcracker is dry to the touch, and I just wanted to show it to you before we start adding our details. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pick up my black paint marker, and we're gonna make his eyes. So his eyes, we're gonna keep the Nutcracker face really super simple here, just 2 simple dots as his eyes. And now we're gonna add his mustache. Here we go. And now we're gonna grab our gold. I'm grabbing my gold paint marker, but you can also use gold paint here with the fine detailing brush. And we're gonna add embellishments to his coat. So for his coat, we're just gonna add simple gold buttons. And then we're going to also add his pant legs. And then we're gonna add small little dots on his hat, just to add little embellishments to his hat too, to bring a little bit of gold and sparkle to the whole piece. All right, now that we finished our Nutcracker ornaments with our clothespin, we're gonna do another one with our brown clothespin, and this one is gonna be an easy peasy Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Christmas is not complete without Rudolph, right? Okay, so I'm gonna grab some white. I'm gonna grab a white paint marker, and we're going to paint in Rudolph's antlers. So they're just going to be one line going up like that, and then a second one on the other side, and then we're just gonna add in some antler shapes. Just gonna thicken it a little bit at the bottom, and then we're going to add in 2 dots for Rudolph's eyes, that same white paint marker. And we're gonna let that dry, and then we're gonna come back and add the pupil. Then we're gonna switch over to a red paint marker and add in Rudolph's infamous and unique red nose. And then we're gonna grab our black. So we're just gonna add some pupils here to bring Rudolph really to life. If you're on the hunt for more ornament ideas that are perfect for crafting with groups, big or small, don't miss my Paint Swirl ornament video. It's a favorite for craft nights, and it's always a hit. Thanks for crafting with me today, and as always, sending you lots of peace, love, and color your way.